Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're doing my December wrap up. As you're watching this, it's the beginning of January and we've got a whole new year ahead of us. But for this video, let's just focus on last year and what I read in December. So I read 10 books, which is quite on par for what I normally read. 4 of those were Christmas books, actually, and then 2 DNFs. So I'll talk about the DNFs first because they were Christmassy books. The first one was A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I am unhauling that. I'm also unhauling the second one, A Holly Jolly Ever After or something. I got to page 92 and it was just really cringy. And you know me, I love a smutty romance book. I love my smut. And that was like, I hadn't even gotten to any smut yet. It was just really weirdly and like immaturely horny, and I wasn't about it. And I just found the premise to be, it just wasn't for me in the nicest way. So I DNF'd that one. I also DNF'd Christmas Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella at page 15. That woman was insufferable. Bear in mind, that was book 10 out of its so far 10 book, as far as I'm aware, series. Following this woman's life. Like the first one, she gets a boyfriend, and then she gets engaged, and she gets married, and she has a kid, and blah blah blah. How has she managed to make so many books out of the same woman shopping? I don't know. This one, awful. I'm someone who does kind of like buy things on a whim, or I haven't got great, if it's something I want and it's on offer, I'm gonna buy it. If I see something I'm like, but it might not be in again, I'm gonna buy it. I'm not great with shopping, but I'm getting better as I'm getting older and as I'm maturing. It's something that I'm not as bad as I used to be. But I didn't like being in that mindset because I've never been that bad. It was awful. She was insufferable. I'm sorry. Anyway, yes. That one is also being on hold. Anyway, on to the books that went well this month. So of the 10 books I read, only 5 of them were physical books that I own. So the first one was Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. I rated this 4 stars. I kind of started this on the last couple of days of November, I won't lie. This one I tried reading a few months ago and I DNF'd it because I was like this. I was tired, I was in bed wanting to read before going to sleep, and I was like, there's too many words, which is a stupid thing to say, but none of them were going in. I was reading and none of them, it's because the way Olivia Blake writes, if you read any of her books, you'll know what I mean. I found the most palatable for just mindlessly reading was probably Masters of Death. I've read 3 books. This one, Masters of Death, and one from My Enemy. And this one was the hardest out of the 3 in terms of it had a more complex sentence structure, and especially in the first part, because I think this is, yeah, it's all in parts. In the first part, it's a lot of, when you're never in someone's point of view, but you kind of are. And when you're in his point of view, he is a mathematician. So it's a lot of big words that applies to maths, and I was like, what is going on right now? So yeah, when I first tried reading this, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but I've been dying to read this because I've heard it's really good. So eventually I got into it, and this time when I read it, all the words went in. It was great, it was fine, I was understanding what was going on. Clearly picked up the book at the wrong time the first time I tried reading this. So yes, in this you're following, so Aldo is a theoretical mathematician, and he like teaches at university, and the only way I can describe him, he's never like described as having any sort of mental condition or learning difficulty or anything psychological, mental, and I don't know how to explain it. The word that I'm thinking of is completely left my head. But he is quite likely autistic. or has ADHD or both. He, and possibly even some sort of OCD, anxiety. Something's going on. For the way his brain works, he's definitely not neurotypical. And so his views are very interesting. And then you've got Reagan, who I think she has bipolar disorder. Yeah, she's got BPD and is medicated but is not medicated, and she's got a lot going on. She's very flighty, and it's these two people who you wouldn't put them together, but they just work. I don't know how to explain it. What I've written at the time of this, in some ways I love how their love was described, but in others I felt like it was almost as if you were reading it from a drugged up / mania induced feeling. Because there's this one chapter or part, and there's one part of the book where I was reading it, and I don't know if it's because I was also reading it quite fast, like naturally, but I was like, this feels like what I imagine falling in love with bipolar disorder feels like when you're not medicated and it's actually a manic episode. But it also felt so real at the same time, like genuine. I don't know how to explain it. So I loved how it was described. It felt very all-consuming. But also I was like, is this just being described from the point of view of a manic episode? And you don't really know. So yeah, it was a very interesting book. 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was spice, but it is mentioned in this book. So yeah. Next, I read My December Darling by Lauren Asher, which was her Christmassy novella for this year. I have rated this one because it was quite a long novella. It was 234 pages, and I've rated it 4 stars and a 2 chili pepper rating. This one was a really cute Christmas novella. It wasn't super Christmassy because it's surrounding a wedding. So you've got your main character, whose name I've completely forgotten the FMC's name. I'm not good with remembering details. My memory doesn't work. Anyway, I don't remember the male main character's name aside from his name is Darling, his surname, so he's Dr. Darling. Anyway, you've got the FMC. Her sister is marrying her ex-boyfriend, but they weren't really together that long, and they parted as friends, so it was fine. But she dated him not knowing her sister had a crush on him. So the whole story, she's got this like guilt. And she's like, oh my God, like I can't believe I did this to my sister, like younger sister. And I'm like, you need to get over yourself. If your sister didn't say anything or make it obvious that she liked the guy, not your fault if you don't know that she likes him. And then you date him. It's up to her to tell you. At the end of the day, communication is key. So there was that. And then the MMC loved him. He was just this sweetheart of a man. He was like, I like this woman. I want to give it a go. Seriously, none of this, let's just see what happens and fool around crap. He's just like, no, I want a relationship. I want to settle down. He's a doctor and he likes to build Lego in his spare time. I loved him. He was a sweetheart. So yeah, you're following a wedding through the festive season. So it wasn't super Christmassy, but it was Christmassy enough. You're in Lake Wisteria, which is where the Lakefront Billionaires series is set, and Final Offer from the Dreamland Billionaire series. So I love Lake Wisteria. I think it's a really cute, cozy little town, and I love reading books set there. So that was a nice little bonus. Oh, Luke Darling, that's his name. I haven't written her name down. So anyway, what I liked was that the MMC was a different kind of MMC than what Lauren Asher typically writes. He was very just goofy, loving, hadn't really got any like romantic baggage. He was just here, saw someone he liked and was like, yeah, I want to try something with this person for real. And I like that. He wasn't like a toxic man. He wasn't an arsehole billionaire. He was just a regular guy. And I liked him. I liked that he was just different from what Lauren Asher usually writes. I've had like ridiculously long nails for about 2 and a bit months now. And they're still long. There's a free edge, but they feel so tiny that I'm struggling to get used to them. The next book I read was The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling, and they said Ering. This one I rated a 3.5 and a 2 Chili Pepper rating. This is the third and final book from the XX series. The other two take place during like October, and this one takes place during December at a wedding in Wales. And this was just really cute and fun. I felt like it was Christmassy, but it still almost felt Halloweeny. It had the same vibe as the XX and the Kiss Case. So you could read it during either like Halloween or Christmas, I feel like. Yeah, it was just a cute, fun, Christmassy witchy rom-com. Don't have a whole lot to say. It wasn't my favourite out of the three. I think my favourite might still be the XX. I did love the Kiss Kiss though as well. I love all three. I love the series. It's a really cozy little witchy rom-com series if you're interested. It starts off with the XX and the Kiss Kiss, and then this one, the Wedding Witch. This one follows the third brother, Bowen, who was kind of like a mountain man, kind of keeps to himself in Wales, and Tamsin Bly, who you do meet in the first book. And basically what happens is they go to a wedding, kind of separately but kind of together, and they end up going back in time about, I want to say like 60 odd years. They go back to 1958 and they have to try and find their way back. So yeah, it was fun. In some ways it was insta-lovey, but because the prologue, technically it wasn't. But I can understand people being like, this is insta-lovey because the prologue's not really enough for us to not think that. I don't know. I took it fine. I didn't really feel like it was insta-lovey because of the prologue, but yeah. Next I read How My Neighbour Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. This one I rated a 3 stars and a 2.5 Chili Pepper rating. I was so excited for this book. And I was disappointed, I won't lie to you. The FMC, insufferable, the FNC's family, insufferable, only liked Cole and Max, the MMC and his best friend. And forgot until I was telling my mum about this book a few weeks after reading it that Max, the dog's name from The Grinch. So anyway, you've got Story is the FMC, and she has gone to Cringletown with her sister to look after her aunt, Cindy, who has broken her hip and she needs help because she's a great aunt, so she's like an elderly lady. And while she's there, so basically she's been nominated because she works from home to look after her, and the sister's driving her there. And then they get there and the sister's like, well, I might as well stay because I don't trust you to look after her. And it's like, okay. But then, yeah, the sister is a nurse, so it makes sense for her to look after her great aunt anyway. So tell me why Story has to stay exactly. So yeah, so Story doesn't have to stay, but then Aunt Cindy's like, yeah, you need to fill in for me for the Cringletown like competition to become the Kringle something. I don't know, but basically the main Christmas person of this town. So anyway, that's all I'm gonna. That's the premise. She has to do that. Yeah, that's the premise. She has to do this competition in her aunt's place. Okay, they're insufferable. The lengths that their family goes to win, ridiculous. And a little bit like karma could come back on you here, and something's gonna happen that you're kind of tempting fate a little bit with what you're doing. And I didn't like what they were doing. I thought it was disrespectful, even though the aunt wasn't on it. I don't want to say aunt. Anyway, yeah, so Story was insufferable, but when her and Cole have a bit of, because they know each other, they've got history from years past, when they kind of manage to turn a corner in their relationship and become more friendly, Story's fine. She's absolutely fine. Then I can get with it. So that part of the story in the middle, great. I was enjoying myself, enjoying the festivities, everything was fine. And then the ending happens. And Taryn which is the sister, Taryn was so ridiculously insufferable that it actually made me angry because of what she did. And then more comes out about the family, and I just think, now I know where these two get their insufferability from. The whole family is awful, and I just felt so bad for Cole. He deserved better. And I was just really angry, so it brought the rating down quite a bit. So basically, I only liked it for Cole and Max. I love their friendship. I need more of that. And I also do have some reservations about a certain scene. That's the reason why everyone's read the book, the candy cane one. I feel like the fallout that would be realistic of that wasn't mentioned or clearly didn't happen. which is magical, frankly. That's the true Christmas miracle, is that she didn't get a yeast infection. Anyway, next I read As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This is the third and final book in the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. And I rate this 5 stars. I rate the second book of 5 stars also. I loved it. This one had me feeling so many emotions. It's not even funny. All I wanted from this book was to know that Pip was okay. And I'm not sure I got that. I'll be honest. It really threw me through the ringer. If I thought she was going to be traumatized after the last book, I don't even know what word I would use for after this book. Like, she is not okay. There are many things that she has seen and done that she can't take back now. And it's like, how do you move on from that? So the first part of this has a little bit of that mystery aspect of the first 2 books, but the second part is just, I can't even explain to you what it is. You just have to read it. I really recommend this series. I've loved this series. It's a YA, and I am not a young adult. I'm just an adult, which I don't like, first of all. But I really enjoyed this because I don't like things that are scary. Some of you YA murder mysteries and thrillers is for me, but yeah, I don't know. I really connected with Pip. I really just was in my head fighting for her. I just loved her, and yeah, I just recommend the series. I don't know. Next, I read A False Start by Elsie Silver. I read it on Kindle because I couldn't find it in store to buy. I could have looked today. I went to Waterstones today. Didn't even look for the book. Anyway, I read it on Kindle because I couldn't find it in store when I last went to Waterstones. And rated this 5 stars and a 2.5 Chili Pepper rating. Love this book. This one and the front, no. Yes. And the front runner, loved them. They felt like Chestnut Springs caliber of book. Whereas the first 2, either in that book or later on in different books, I found the women a bit annoying, or thought they were in the wrong in some way. Billy, I found, was in the wrong during the front runner, and Violet, who is the whole reason I wanted to read this series in the first place, was in the wrong in her book. So yeah, basically in book 3 and 4, so the front runner and A False Start, they were the only people who I thought, these characters are good characters and I'm on their side through the whole thing, and they have no flaws. Obviously they have character flaws, that's it, but they have no flaws that make me hate them. Like Violet and Billy. So yeah, I just love this couple, Nadia and Griffin. I felt like, so that obviously in most romances there's a 3rd act conflict or 3rd act breakup depending on the story, and I felt like theirs actually made sense in their story. It was a needed 3rd act conflict and it added to the story, which is very rare. So, and it made sense. It made them feel very mature and like they really cared for their relationship, that they wanted themselves to be the best they could be so they could have the best relationship, and they had to do that apart for a while. Love that. I think it just made loads of sense for the story. Also, Griffin was the perfect grumpy man. He was a grumpy man, not an arsehole. He just was very silent. He wasn't mean. He just, if he didn't have to talk, he wasn't going to talk. If he could get away with not talking, he wasn't going to talk. But he was a secret softie. He absolutely was. And Nadia had been through so much, even though she was so young. And I just wanted her to have the world, honestly. Also, the way that Griffin showed, Griffin played the long game, not like the long game, but a decent amount of time. And the way he showed he was still invested, and then how they how they reconnected, loved it. It actually made me really emotional. I just thought it was done perfectly. So that book was a 5 stars. Loved it. Okay, next on Kindle also. I read a lot on Kindle this month. I read 4 books on Kindle this month. Can you believe? I read Where's Molly? So basically for As Good as Dead, A False Start and Where's Molly, I did a finishing series video. It's up on my channel already if you want to watch it. I read Where's Molly because it's a novella that goes alongside the Cat and Mouse duet. So in Hunting Adeline, when Adeline is in the house, Francesca's house, she finds a diary of a girl named Molly. And so you basically, in that book, are kind of like, okay, well, what happened? Is she okay? You have a lot of questions about Molly. And this book answers those questions. So I didn't know anything about this book going into it, aside from knowing who it was about. So I didn't think it was a romance. I thought it was just a bit of dark backstory and what she went through, but it isn't. It is a dark romance. There is a romance in there, and I really liked the romance, actually. It was a lot softer and normal than Hunting Adeline, and it's not as dark. But I don't know if that's because I'm now so used to that level of dark. Well, not used to it, but I don't know if that's just ruined my darkness radar, because I really wasn't fazed by this book. There is one smut scene where it is a little bit, but aside from that, and you kind of forget when you're in the scene, to be honest, so it was fine. I rate, again, this was a long novella. It was over 200 pages. I rated it 4 stars, and I give it a 4. I feel really sick. Ugh. I'm struggling. Random side note, I'm on antibiotics for what I think is a toe infection, but not 100% sure. And I've had flucloxacillin before, and it really did not agree with me, and I told the doctor at the time, this is not agreeing with me. And apparently no note was made on my file, but I went to the doctor's about my toe. Weirdly, when the toe looked pretty much fine, then the next day it went back to being weird again. And she was like, just let me know if you need antibiotics, you don't have to have an appointment, just give me a ring. And is there anything that you're allergic to? And I said, no, but I'm not good with penicillin. My stomach does not agree with it. And she was like, okay, no problem. I can see on my NHS app, she made a note of that. A different doctor though, then prescribed. And it gave me the exact antibiotics that I've had before. That I've never had heartburn in my life until I had these antibiotics. And now I do occasionally get it and get acid reflux. It fully messed up like my upper stomach and gastric tract, I don't know, just upper gastrointestinal messed up since I've been on these antibiotics. Anyway, that's what they prescribed me again, even though there's a note on the consultation saying adverse reaction to penicillin, and they gave me penicillin again. So basically I'm not as bad as last time. I'm only 2 days in, to be fair, but I'm not doing well on these antibiotics, and I kind of feel a bit sick, but it's mostly I just have this hollow, horrible feeling in my stomach. Anyway, that's completely unrelated. So yeah, where's Molly? Yeah, 4 chili pepper rating is what I was trying to say before I suddenly felt very nauseous. I liked the romance. They were equally well suited and equally messed up to each other, and I was rooting for Molly, I'll be honest with you, because the trauma she must have experienced, we didn't see a whole lot of her in Francesca's. It's more when she left and like after that, and a tiny bit before. So, but we can gather from Hunting Adeline what she went through. I just wanted her to have some sort of happy ending. I just wanted her to find some sort of peace, because she went through the most awful thing a person can go through. There was one thing. You get to the end. Oh, my hair, I'm eating it. So I needed more at the end, because there's fluff everywhere. What's going on? I think it's off this jumper. I don't want to like spoil anything. So the only way I can describe what I want to say is, after the first phone call at the end, what happened with that? Did it go well? Is there a continuation with that? I need to know. And then the second phone call, I really need to know what happens after that. Is there a collaboration? Does Adeline know that Molly's okay? Do they know that it's Molly and not just some random person? I need more. I need more, to be honest with you. So I finished that book. It was like 11:30 at night. I was fully in the dark on my Kindle, and my drawer was on the floor, just like, I need more. So I've been left unsatisfied, but I did really enjoy it. Next, I listened to Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. I think it's Nevessa. This one was so good. I rated it 5 stars, and again a 4 chili pepper rating. Everyone raves about the audiobook, so I had bought it on Audible ages ago, and I thought, you know what, I've got a lot of cleaning I want to do before Christmas and tidying. Now's a great time to listen to it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's like a dark rom-com, so I kind of like Butcher and Blackbird, how it's dark themed but really funny. this is exactly the same. I was laughing so much through it. I was like chuckling to myself. I was like scandalized reading it. I absolutely ate this book up. I thought the couple were so well suited to each other. I didn't really write much because I listened to the audiobook, so I can't talk about the writing. All I know is I love the characters. I felt like the romance was weirdly wholesome in some ways, and they were like such a normal couple, but not at the same time. I don't know how to explain it because obviously it was very dark themed. But yeah, all I can say is if you're, I mean, I'm sure reading the Kindle is good as well, like, or like reading the physical book, whatever. It's on Kindle Unlimited if you do want to read it. But if you can and you have Audible, listen to the audiobook. I'm telling you, it's so good. Next, I read Mr. Fixer-Upper by Lucy Score. I rated this one a 4.5 stars and a 2.5 chili pepper rating. I mostly read this book because I needed this series read because it wouldn't fit in my reading journal. I forgot about it. So, like for next year. So I needed this one read so it could be on there, ticked off, basically. I read this one over Christmas, kind of like the 23rd or the 25th. Kind of went from thinking Paige was like this network ass kissing goody whose only priority was ratings and money. And as soon as he realised that was completely not the case, he was like, I like this woman, I need this woman, she would be my woman. Straight away. He called her princess ironically, and then he started calling her princess really. He started, but also when he was like really trying to be real with her and genuine, he called her honey, and I loved it. It's a good example of boy obsessed, honestly. Once he realised he was wrong, he was like, okay, I'm obsessed with this woman now. Now that I know what she's actually like, I'm obsessed. So yeah, this is basically, I feel like I've kind of gone from telling you about what books are about to not telling you what books are about, so I'm very sorry. This one is about, so Gannon is a reality TV show star with his sister Kat, and they do like house renos. And Paige is the like assistant producer for the show. So that's like, they already know each other. They've known each other the year before. They filmed for like 3 months at a time. They're on the second season. So they'd like worked with each other for 3 months already. They already have like some sort of history. And now they're just about to start shooting for season 2. So they have another 3 months of being forced to be in each other's presence while they're filming the show. And she gets on really well with Kat, the sister, but it's just he thinks she's all for the network when actually she's all for the people. That's basically the premise. And then I read The Christmas Fix because I needed this one read as well to get the series ticked off. It's hard to explain. I couldn't put it in the journal, so I needed reading this month. I actually bought this at the beginning of the month. It just so happened to weirdly be in Morrison's for some reason, so I bought it when I was in. This one's about Kat. And this one, I've literally finished this today. I love this book. A lot of people DNF'd it because they thought the man was not even grumpy, he was just a dickhead. And I get it, I understand it. However, I feel like American dickheads are very different to British dickheads. And this wasn't that bad. Like if he was British, he'd be so much worse. I'm telling you that now. British man is awful, to be completely honest with you. Anyway, yeah, he was grumpy, but in a bit of a dickish way, I won't lie. But I could tell there was more going on, and I was interested. So this one, we're in a town called Merry in Connecticut, and he's not the mayor, he's like the town's, what is he? He's not the mayor. I don't know how to explain what he is. He's got a title, I can't remember what it's called. But he's like big man around town. And basically the town has, there's like a natural disaster. There was a hurricane and flooding, and a lot of the town is destroyed. And Kat had been there before and done a house reno for their season, Kings of Construction, for their show. So she had been there before, and she kept in contact with the people that they made over the house for. And she gets in contact with them when she hears that there's a hurricane, or was it a hurricane? Yeah, hurricane. And she tells them basically it's really not good. So she goes and helps out, and it's kind of like, why don't we make this like a Christmas special, 6 episodes of just rebuilding this town. And because like they're famous for their Christmas festival that runs like the whole of December, which is not going to happen at this rate. And Noah's like, absolutely not. You are not rinsing my townspeople. You're not rinsing the people of this town that I love for money. You're not like making them seem like vulnerable and like pathetic or sad or whatever. He's like, you're not making my people look or seem that way. Anyway, she just wants to help. And yeah, it's really fun. It's Christmassy in the best way because it's not about presents and really like whatever stuff for Christmas. It's not about, oh, it's I need to have a boyfriend before Christmas, so I'm home for the Christmas and have to pretend I have a boyfriend. It's Christmassy because the whole book is about giving and about family and love and community, and this community coming together to rebuild something that's really important for them. And yeah, there's Christmassy stuff in it, like trees and reindeer things for lampposts and whatever. Like, to me it felt Christmassy in the best way, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I rated this one a 4.5 stars. I don't think I said, and a 2 chili pepper rating. Yeah, once he realised he was wrong, he completely did a 180, and instead of being a dickhead, he ended up being like quite a nice guy. And he's also a single dad. So yeah, I feel like I have not been very... I'm on a timer right now. I have my tea is nearly done, and then I've got a Tesco delivery coming sometime soon. So I feel like I'm rushing myself. But yeah, I read 10 books this month, and I hit my reading goal for the year on The Wedding Witch. That was my 120th book. I ended up reading 127 books this year, which is amazing. That's 27 more than last year, which is absolutely crazy. Yeah, the video that's gone up before this is my whole end of year wrap up, so if you haven't seen that, do check that out. Yeah, let me know what Christmassy books you read this month, because I mean, I've read a decent amount now, so I don't necessarily need to read many next year, I feel like. But let me know what you read, if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have read How My Neighbour Stole. Let me know if you found Story and her family as insufferable as I did. I would really like to know that. And yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!